Okay, YouTube family friends, Rev It Up Mustang Fanatic Home Edition. We're sprucing up the home here. We got a shed, as I mentioned, and we are getting everything to code. So let me show you. We did our rough in with our electrical wires. We'll start from the 14.2 underground wire, which is gray, going into my junction box. Okay, and then once I'm inside, I switch to 14.2 Romex wire, indoor wire, the white one, and that's going to power up the receptacle and the light switch that's over there. But the reason I have a junction box is because I can't find a 3-gang cover plate that has a receptacle and 2 light switches. I can't find them anywhere, so I decided to make this light switch over here into this junction box here. So it'll be powered through here, and when I get the floodlight, I'll run the floodlight up, and it's going to be up there. I got to determine what kind I'm going to get, so I have to have some more Romex wire, indoor Romex 14.2, to come down from up there in the top of the game box here. I already got the hole knocked out and waiting for whenever I decide to get that. So when you're working with the box, it's got to be within 6 inches. The wire has to be nailed in within 6 inches of all our boxes, and we got to go through the 2x4s when you're going up, and then we're up against here, and about every 1.5 feet or so, I got staples in going here, and then staple here, and again within the box right over here. These two I have to staple back over here, but I got the wire running over there through the joists into the box, staple there, out this box, staple on the rafters there, down to that box, and staple. This is the end of the daisy chain, so it's going to start there. My GFCI is the outdoor weatherproof box, is out there, so this is going to protect. It's downstream, so it's going to protect every one of these sockets and receptacles that are in here. So now that I did all the rough wiring, now it's time to cut the power off, because we're going to get this shed lighted tonight, because my customer, which is my wife, she wants this done tonight. So we're going to show you how to wire up a shed. We'll be right back. Okay, the first thing we do, go over to the electrical box. We know what circuit it is, bedroom plus bath, number 2, and you can see that it's on the 20 amp circuit right there, because that's the bathroom. All right, so now I can put my tape back on here, so if my wife comes home early, she won't try to open this. I'm the only one home, so it's got "don't open" on it. So we got that shut off. Now we just want to follow protocol and make sure we cut the right switch off, even though we knew, but I like to double check. So we put the circuit tester in, no lights, so we know the bottom is out. No lights, we know the top is out. So now we can safely go ahead and start wiring our receptacles. I was going to use my GoPro camera, but the battery is on yellow, so unfortunately I can't film everything. So I'll do it and then I explain it to you. What I'm going to do is cut my Romex wire, the outdoor, and you got to leave at least a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch inside the receptacle for each one of these coming in. So Just keep that in mind when you're cutting these. And this is my junction box, so we're going to hook everything up together. So I'll show it to you as I finish it. So let me show you what I did. I take up one of these blades here and run down the exact middle, stay in the middle. That's where that copper wire would be. And once you get that off, then you kind of cut into these parts. And once you get this part of the Romex off, you can kind of peel them back. This is the underground wires a little bit harder to do than the regular Romex wire to strip back. So just take your time and make sure you don't damage the common wire, which is the white, and the ground wire, the positive wire, which is the black. So as you can see, we're working with it, and we got it peeled back all the way to here, and we got to get it back a couple more, about 2 more inches, 3 more inches, a ½ inch inside the work box, and then we'll be set, and then we'll strip these. Okay, once you got it peeled back to satisfactory, you want to put the wires away from you and pull the sheathing away and cut it with your blade, wire cutters, or scissors, however you want to cut it. Make sure you cut it away from it and not cut it towards it. Okay, same thing with the 14-2 Romex indoor wire. If you can see that little line, that's where the copper is at. So you can just start by making a cut right on that copper with your blade, and then this pulls back real easy than the underground 14-2. Since this is a junction box, we don't have to worry really about how we tie this off, because there's no switches going here. It's different when we get to this light switch, and we'll show you the difference in making pigtails and everything. But we don't really need to make any pigtails in here. We just got to connect everything together here. Your ground wires, your common wires, and then the 3 hot wires are going to be connected together. So we're going to cut these 6 inches from the box. But first, I start with my coppers first. Always want to start with your ground wires first, and I like to kind of roll them in the back of the box all the way to the back, and that'll get me started with a little bit of the process of having some of the wires rolled back in there. Okay, so I want 6 inches past the box for all the wires that I'm working on. And my little self-cutting wire clippers here is 6 inches. So what I'll do, I'll put this up here and measure to where the end of that goes, and I'll cut all my wires the same. But this is about 5 inches right here. That's well and good, because this is just a junction box. So I'll cut all the wires even and leave them the same. But the golden rule of thumb is you want them 6 inches out. So what I'm using is Wago Wago connectors. So I got all my grounds connected right here, and you can see I could pull on this and this is not coming loose, and you can see the grounds all the way up to the front. So now what we're going to do is get all these together, and we're going to roll these back in the box. Always start with your grounds first. The copper wires was easy to put on the Wago. These that have the insulation on it, you want to make sure you cut them 3/4 of an inch. and that won't expose any wiring back there. So now we're going to tuck this one in. Okay, so we got everything tucked back in using the Wago switch. So this box is complete. So we're going to just get the cover plate and put the cover plate right here. So when the job is done, we can go ahead and do it. So now we're going to go up to the light switch, and I got to get the light switch, and we're going to need a jumper. Rev It Up Mustang Fanatic Production. I just figured I had my own light show here. Electrobus is in the garage, just relaxing. I'm just enjoying watching the lights, like a little Christmas show out here. Love it. Look at that snake. Beautiful. Cobra. Cobra. Just gorgeous. Look at that green. You can see inside the interior with the green on there. Beautiful. Loving it. For those of you who don't know, the Romex 14.2 or 14.3, they strip pretty easy. Like I said, just make a slit right down the middle, just a little piece, and then you can peel the sheathing back, and then it's this paper around the conductor there, and you just pull those back, and then you just snip them off. Like I said, it's got to be 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of sheathing in the box coming out from the back. So I'll give you a picture. I got more than enough right there. More than enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this switch, I'm not going to hook this switch up for the simple reason I don't have the other Romex that runs up to the light switch, because then what I would have to do is take my two common wires and splice them together, and then I'll have two blacks and I have two grounds. So the way you will hook it up is you would take and make a pigtail, so you can connect the other ground to it, and then you make a nice little shepherd's hook, and that would be your ground that goes onto the green on the bottom of the switch. Where's my switch at? The green on the bottom of the switch, and then you'd have the power wire right there. Really doesn't matter where you hook it to, but you hook it, one black wire here and the other black wire is going to the light fixture up there. So I'm not going to mount this, so I'm just going to leave that aside here, and I just got some caps to twist these off. And what I like to do is to just roll this around here like that, and then just tuck the wire in, and this will be safe enough for me to go ahead and run my power later. Okay, what I'm going to do is work my way downstream. So I'm going to start with the last receptacle and wire this in, then go over to that receptacle, wire that in, and then we'll get to the main power source over there and wire those guys in. So this one here is pretty basic. And what we're going to do, one ground, which is the copper, one white, which is our neutral, and one black, which is our power wire. And it doesn't matter where you hook them up at, but what I like to do when I start out one, I like to start this one on the top, then when I get to the other side, run to the bottom, Then when I get back over to my main box, I'll be using the bottom and top on that side. So that's the only, this is the way you would do this up. So let me get this sheathing off of here and get this hooked up, and we'll show you. So I cut back maybe 3/4 to an inch of wire to make my shepherd's hook, and you want to go in a clockwise manner. So when you tighten the screw, it tightens the copper wire down the ground and not back it off. So this is what the finished product should look like. Your ground connected, your common, which is your white, connected, and then your hot connected. And I got these nice and tight. Okay, so that's how you wire an outlet. Now if you get confused, the larger space on the receptacle is your common, and the smaller one is always going to be hot. So you can't really confuse it if you can't remember that, you know, the brass gets black, the hot, and the common gets the silver wire. That's an easy way to remember that this little small side is hot. And then you want to run these screws in. Any screws that you're not using, you want to run those in. Then you neatly tuck those wires in the back, and you want to kind of go on an angle and make sure you can push this all the way back, and then you can start your screws and screwing it in. Okay, our last downstream receptacle is plugged up, it's in, we got our cover plate on it. So now we're going to move over to number 2, which is going to be a little bit more detailed, because we're running power off of that to that, from that one to this one. So we got to connect those in series. So we're going to need a couple of pigtails. Okay, we got our wires stripped back. We got them separated, the hots, the grounds, the neutrals. So we always start with our grounds, which is the copper. Then we start with our neutrals, and then we start with our hot wires. So just like to get them all off the one side here, and we'll get to work in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to use again, we're going to use these woggle switches, because I have to have a jumper for a jumper for each of the common, the hot, and the ground. So I've already stripped out, cut off some pieces, stripped them off, and I'll show you how this is done. But this is how we organize things and make sense of it all, and how we got to put it together. Okay, so we don't have to do nothing else with these 2 wires. Okay, they're grounded into my woggle. So I got to make a shepherd hook here. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to use the woggle, and our ground is, our loose wire is going to be our pigtail. Same for the common, is going to be our pigtail. And remember, over there we went on the upside of the receptacle. Here we're going to go on the downside of the receptacle. So let me go and make sure. I guess I have to open that box back up, because I twisted it sideways. Let me see. Okay, so a quick note, my plug over there is in sideways, and where the ground is, I use these 2 terminals. So on this side, I'm going to use these 2 terminals on the top side. So that's the way I preference. Then when I get over to the original box, I'm going to go back to the top. So this will be the bottom and back to the top. So I got my pigtail made, the 2 blacks coming in, and here's the hot coming out, the grounds coming in and out, a pigtail the commons coming in and out, and pigtails. So that's hooked that up in the series and starting the wire work downstream to prepare for the upstream main box there. I know I went a little overkill on the wire. It's a little long, but it's a pretty good work box. We can get this wires shoved back in there, but these Wago connectors, they just symbolize using these wire nuts. You just want to get all three together and have a good pigtail, and you can see I got my hot and my common. They're on the bottom, and here's the ground. So on the other side, my common and my hot is on the top. So top, bottom, and the main switch, we're gonna go back to the top. So we're gonna shove these wires back in here. We're gonna put the cap on here, and we'll get our main wire set up, and we'll be done. So we got those tucked back in there nice and neat, and we pushed it back with our hands. So we're gonna connect this one and put the cover on and move on. Okay, let's make sense of it all. Okay, making sense of it. So we got our ground wires with a copper sleeve, and you want to get your pigtails in there, and you want to squeeze this all together, and then you want to twist it like I have it until you get about 3 or 4 turns in there, and then the wire that hangs off, you want to just clip that back and squeeze it on there real tight. And then you have your 2 pigtails, 1 ground for the light, 1 ground for the electrical switch, the receptacle. So my common, I needed to make 2 jumpers, so I needed 2 extra wires. So I got 5 wires, just like on the ground. I got 5 wires going in, so I'll have 2 going to my common. I'm going to do same 5 for the hots, and we'll get them all tied in. As you can see, we got lights in the shed. Off, on, off, on. And we connected everything right. Here's our circuit tester. 2 yellow lights are on. 2 yellow lights are on. We go to the second receptacle. Lights are on. Lights are on. And end of the daisy chain. 2 lights on. 2 lights on. So we are complete and set. Sorry that I get to show you the whole thing over here, but we had 5 grounds wires, 2 pigtails for ground wires to here, and we had 2 common pigtails, and we had 2 hot pigtails over here, and everything else was wire tied. The other grounds and the hots and the other neutrals were wired, or used the wire nut on it. So you saw me demonstrate the Wagos, you saw me demonstrate the sleeves, putting it on the hot, and you saw me use the wing nuts. And there is my box right there for my light, which I haven't got yet, but there's power to it. I got everything capped off down there. Last thing I got to do is close up my junction box right here, and we're done for tonight. God bless. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. Rev it up, Mustang Fanatic Home Edition, sprucing up the home.